Kick off the holiday season early this year with the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra's performance of Handel's Messiah. Don't miss your chance to experience one of the most performed classical pieces of music worldwide. Make it your new favorite holiday tradition and join the WCO and the Festival Choir of Madison at Bethel Lutheran Church. That's on November 21st at 7 p.m. and November 22nd at 2 p.m. Tickets are available at wcoconcerts.org/Messiah. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, Jack Frost is already knocking at your door. So, homeowners and all you renters out there, is your space winter ready? AKA gutters cleaned and pipes and insulation checked for the cold weather ahead? To help you get your home ready, we're bringing back my conversation with Mercury Stardust, the trans handyman and professional home maintenance technician, on her top tips for the season. Mercury, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
It is our pleasure. It's such a pleasure to have you back. You're a goddess. You are a true multi-hyphenate. As a content creator with millions of followers, by the way, on social media, you're an author and a maintenance technician with decades of experience. So, we thought with winter just around the corner, we should really have you back to get some tips. And as a Wisconsin, I just got to ask, winter, thoughts? How do you feel about it?
It's so hard to know exactly what winter is going to be anymore. When I was growing up as a kid, it was pretty consistent. December you would have snow on the ground, and it was going to be anywhere between 10 to 30 degrees for the next 4 months. But now it's like we might get like one snowfall in November, and we don't see it again until February.
Right.
Like it's so unpredictable and so hard. So I think as homeowners, better to be safe than sorry, because boy, do costs really pile up real bad. So being prepared for the worst is good.
I appreciate that we are not going to let everyone listening get caught off guard. We're going to be here and talk about winterizing our house and our apartment. If there's anything to talk about there, we'll talk about that in a bit. But, what are your top recommendations for getting your house winterized? Like, what are the first line items that need attention?
I think the thing that people forget about the most are the outdoor spigots. Those outdoor faucets? We always forget about those. But boy, is that like a red herring waiting for the worst thing to possibly happen for Wisconsinites. So if you got an outdoor spigot, go and get yourself one of those like $2, $3 little foam insulation covers that you can put right over your spigot, and you just pull it tight, and then it locks in place. It's very easy to install. It's like a 30-second job. And now you don't need to worry about, oh my God, are my spigots going to work in spring? Are things going to freeze over from the outside? You're not going to have those problems quite as much. So that would be number one. And then number two is if you got gutters, which I hope to God you're in Wisconsin that you do. If you got gutters, that you got to make sure that they're clean and cleared and ready to go. If you don't, you're going to have something called ice dams build up. And those ice dams are going to get underneath your shingles, are going to form, and it's going to crack your wood, cause rot. It's going to make a whole lot more nightmare in your roof than you actually want to deal with. So if you can get spigot and just the gutters done, you're into the home stretch of like the worst possible things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, but those are the things I would do for safety reasons,
Mm-hmm. And so are those the things that you're doing right now that you've done?
Oh yeah, I did the spigot thing way too early, to be honest. Like I was so gung-ho, like I'm not going to be the one that this happens to. I did it like in October, and then I kept taking them off because I was using my hose over and over again. So better to be safe than sorry. Those are really easy to put on, really easy to take off, and there shouldn't be a problem with that. And the gutters, I'm underneath my tree. I have a tree that I swear is like my worst enemy. And it hates me so bad. I've cleaned my gutters 4 times just in the last like week and a half because they fill up so bad. And I will come up with some solution next year, but I have nothing right now.
I think about gutters, and I'm just going to be the embarrassing one to ask. But for people who are new homeowners and maybe haven't done it, I just feel like, is it dangerous cleaning those up? Like, do there any like sort of tips for that process, and especially if someone does wait too long?
Yeah. So, very good question. So, how do you clean gutters essentially in the safest way possible? I mean, first of all, the first thing I'll tell you is that if you had a low enough roof, like if you're able to access your roof through with an A-frame ladder that's around 10 feet, to me, that's the best route to do it. If you don't have that luxury, if your pitch on your roof is much, if your height of your roof is much higher and you need to use an extension ladder, just be mindful of where you're putting your ladder. Contrary to popular belief, if you do put it on the gutters, you're usually fine, but put it on a location where you actually have nails going through and support of the gutters. You're not just cracking the gutter. Be mindful of those kind of things. And to be honest, I'm the kind of person that I just get on my roof and I just do things. Yeah, I've been on my roof more than I've been in my basement, to be honest. So I don't mind just getting on top and doing all the cleaning from above. I find that actually is weirdly safer than sometimes cleaning from a position where you're kind of like putting the ladder in a lot of strain and you can kind of like get up and down, and the more you have to place the ladder, the more you got to move the ladder, the more variables. So in my opinion, to get up and above sometimes is safer. Be mindful of that. If you're not able-bodied or if you're someone who's older and you cannot get on the ladder out of the fear of your own safety, right? And you don't have people in your life who would just come over and do it for you. The thing I would suggest is you can get a big vacuum, right? A big wet vac, and then hook up a bunch of like PVC piping to your hose and then curve that PVC piping. This will cost you probably cost you less than $20 to do all of it. And then you just duct tape it to that hose, and then you can use that to get a lot of the big chunks. It might not be perfect, and without having a mirror on it, and you could do a mirror. I mean, you could really get some home improvement vibes on this, and hook a mirror up on there and try to take a look. Or you can do what I did when I worked in property management. I would take my phone, strap it to this device I made, and then I would just record everything, and I would do the whole job, and then I would look and make sure that I was getting everything I needed. And that's, a little cumbersome, but it really does get the job done. And to be honest, it's a lot faster than having to get on a ladder and, blow everything out. You could also strap a leaf blower on something too and do the same thing. Just be mindful of how much backache you're going to have with doing something like that. But again, those are what I like to call on the farm home improvement tips. A little hokey, but
I literally love it so much. The choose your own adventure alternatives that you just offered are so good, and the phone is really smart. And thinking about being on the roof, because that's something I saw kind of doing research about winterizing the house, is just like thinking about insulation and like leaks and cracks or anything like that in terms of if anything might be coming in, like snow or rain or the sorts of things that happen in winter. Is that a tip? You're coming for that?
Yes, I'm a big believer on trying to make sure your attic is ready to go. Like making sure you got proper insulation in your attic. If you don't, you can't trap the heat in your house, and you're going to have heat that just keeps rising through the ceiling out through your roof, and you're not going to have a very warm house, consistently. You know what I mean? Like you're going to spend a lot of money in the winter to try to make sure it's not going to happen that way. But I'm a big believer in just getting on top of your roof and doing it. But I know that is a huge hang up for so many people. And I'm privileged enough to have a roof that has a really nice pitch on it where I don't need it. I mean, you honestly should always tie off on a roof. But I know someone who you're currently talking to who doesn't always tie off on a roof. But if you have the ability to do it, I think you should look for it and make sure that none of your shingles pull back, especially after the high winds.
Right.
I just redid my shingles in July, and I did see this past weekend that I had one that was pulled up that wasn't properly secured. So I do think it's really smart to make sure that you check and make sure everything's ready to go before you have the first snowfall, and everything becomes way more dangerous to deal with during the winter.
That makes sense. So this is dream me, not real me, but plenty of folks have chimneys because they have these cool things called fireplaces. Do you have any notes there in terms of the wintertime?
I make fun of myself all the time with the knowledge that I should know that I don't know. I have a chimney in my house that's just basically decorative at this point.
Right.
But if you ever drive down like the north side of Madison especially, and if you see like some type of a cage above like a fan on a roof, right? Just keep your eyes out for like these cages that are on these fans. And the reason why they exist, if you ever see a cage on a roof that like a metal structure that is like mesh of any kind, that's because raccoons have lived there and they will find a home in the winter, right? So making sure, like, I haven't put a cage back on my fan from this winter, and I really need to do that. I just reminded myself that I need to make sure that's ready to go. Oof, boy, that'd be bad.
Keep the raccoons out. And it feels like a lot of winterizing is like just trying to block out cold air, right? And energy efficiency, right?
Yeah. It actually brings me to another point. Foam insulation is kind of your best friend. And even if if you're not someone who can afford and splurge on a heat finding gun, a thermal gun, there we go.
Ooh.
If you're not someone who can like splurge on that, right? I have one that does a pretty good job, and it kind of can show you where the gaps are in exterior wise, and you can kind of find out where you need to go. But I will tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, the worst spots are behind the trim around your door and behind the trim around your window. And trim is pretty easy to take off. Like, you just want to make sure you cut all of the sealant around it out, right? Cut it all out so you're not going to peel back the paint when you take it off. And you just take a flat bar, you put it underneath that trim, and you pop it right off. It really is not that hard to take off.
Okay.
It's like a 3-minute job to take off and a 2-minute job to put it back on. Not that hard at all. But then when you have that peel back, you'll kind of see where the drywall meets your frame, like your actual frame for your window or your door. And usually there's like, I don't know, like a 1/4-inch gap that right before it actually hits that wood, which means you want to put foam right in there if you're having problems.
Are people just leaving that out? Just like they didn't fill it completely or what? Because I've seen that.
It all depends on how old your house is. I mean,
sure.
Like, your age of your house, the codes have changed. Sometimes no one is checking it. You know what I mean? Like, it all depends. But if you want to know for sure and you don't have, like, any gun to be able to help you, a blow dryer or even a leaf blower right outside the windows and the doors, if you can feel that draft around the trim, you got a problem. Right? And that would be where I would check and try, you know?
I love it. I've got a great hairdryer.
Yeah. And blow dryers are so like underrated as a tool. Like, they're a great multi-tool. I have used them. I literally used a blow dryer to help me take off wallpaper. I've helped it to help me speed up a really, really bad moisture problem I was having in my basement. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
Blow dryers are great.
You know, this is so much fun. I'm excited to talk more winterizing tips, but before we do, let's take a quick break. Imagine what it would be like to not be able to afford to put a meal on your table this Thanksgiving. Too many of our neighbors don't have to imagine. That's their reality. With rising food prices and cuts to food aid programs, food insecurity is a crisis in Madison. That's why Goodman Community Center runs the annual Thanksgiving Basket Drive. They're giving 4,000 families in our community all the groceries they need to cook a delicious Thanksgiving dinner at home. Everything from gravy, veggies, stuffing, dessert, and of course, the turkey. But they need our help to collect all the food and funds needed to fill all of those 4,000 baskets. If you can afford to do so, go to goodmancenter.org/Thanksgiving and learn how you can help. You can donate food, start a food drive, or donate funds. Together, we can ensure that thousands of our friends and neighbors have a joyful Thanksgiving. Are you going to the finest young professionals party of the year? Madison Magnet is Dane County's premier young professionals organization, and they aim to give members a place to connect, collaborate, and develop. And their big annual event is just around the corner. The Magnet Fete is a night of fun and philanthropy with other young professionals in the Madison area. It will feature a wine bowl and a raffle with prizes, including show tickets, gift cards, and other great items. This year's fete benefits Second Harvest Food Bank of Southern Wisconsin. Tickets are on sale now. Tickets start at $75. You do not want to miss this fun and fabulous night. The event will also be the full unveiling and celebration of Magnet's merger with the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce, where you can learn more about what that all entails for them as an organization and you as a member. Get tickets today at madisonmagnet.org/magnetfest.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text them yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with like funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.
We've been talking winterizing and having a good time, which is the only way it should be. We've been talking about you've been taking some steps to winterize your space. That process has begun. Has anything surprised you, or like maybe less obvious things popped out like, oh, I probably should do that? It wasn't top of mind. I mean, we hit the thing about the cage for raccoons on the fan on your roof. But anything else?
Yeah. Well, you know what surprised me is when I was researching for my second book about homeowning, right? As I was researching it, I found out that there are way more fires that happen in winter than any other time of the year. And I mean, just think about all the things that could go wrong. You got a lot more electrical pull in your house during winter than you do almost any other time of the year. You also have your heaters. Honestly, when it comes to snow can cause fires. A lot of people don't think about that when we talk about how water can interact with the electricity and what happens when that kind of stuff gets into your house, and going back to ice dams and how that can cause ice buildup. When that comes to melting, well, that's going to cause a lot of problems in your house and leakage that can lead to fires. So after finding it out, I think one of the most important things is making sure that you have a smoke alarm, making sure that everything is tested. I know no one likes talking about the worst case scenario, but you got to have a good to-go bag. You got to have a go bag.
Meaning like an emergency.
Yeah. It's, you got to have like a night or two worth of clothes in there. You should have any extra medication if you can afford it, just to have an extra little thing of medication if you can in there. First aid kit, flashlight, maybe even like a little tool repair kit, anything like that that's in a go bag, including an extra credit card. I have an emergency credit card that I keep in, I shouldn't say where.
No, keep going.
Yeah, but I keep it where it needs to stay, and I have that. So when something goes wrong, I have it just in case. Like I ran out of the house in a fire, but I got my go bag that was right by my exit for my house. But now I'm safe. I got a credit card. I got identification. I got the things I need. I'm safe enough and have at least prepared enough. You know what I mean? To be able to be okay for whatever amount of time. And no one likes talking about it, but a go bag is one of the most underrated tools in your house that everyone should be thinking about, because winter is extremely unexpected, like we talked about earlier before. And it's very hard to know and predict exactly what this winter is going to bring. If we have another winter that we did 10 years ago, where we had negative 20 degrees for 3 months,
right?
I mean, that's going to put so much strain on your pipes. And if you don't know for sure if your pipes are insulated, if you're living in an apartment and you're not 100% sure that you got insulated pipes, well, then you should keep a water running all the time, just even if it's a drizzle, because constant water running cannot freeze in the same way, right? So having a little bit of drizzle coming through your pipes are going to help prevent the pipes from freezing over. So being prepared for things like that is super important this winter.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things, like when people are leaving for a couple weeks, that sort of thing. You actually recommend like having a little bit of a drip or like...
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be home and stuff, if it's one of the situations where you can't be home for like 2 weeks, it does become a little bit more sketchy, what you're going to do and what you don't want to do. I always believe in house sitting. I really do think that's a real thing that people need to be mindful of, that having a house dormant in winter is probably one of the worst things that you can do, especially if you're actively living in that house, right? When you come back and then all of a sudden the furnace isn't working, a burst pipe is like one of the worst things that can happen. But even in the day and age we live in, things can go wrong. So being prepared for that. Like I said, a drizzle is a good route to go. But even if you're like in my house, all my pipes are like in positions I can see. I can like see it in the basement. I can see it up in the attic, or I can see it in various spots. I'll take a look and see how everything is insulated, how things are protected, and making sure that I insulate it if I need to, if I have any type of exposed piping that might need it, especially if you got a really cold basement.
That's a good
cold
place
basement.
to go check in your basement.
Yeah, like right now, my furnace is actually dead. So what can happen with a furnace especially? When we're talking furnaces, we're talking maybe like 15 to 25 years. That's like the most you're going to get out of them a lot. A lot of Wisconsinites will have like 90% gas furnaces. I certainly do. And you'll also have furnaces that will have a brain, like a circuit board, and that brain will have codes on it that will often indicate what's wrong. If you look at the actual like metal gate that you take off, if you look behind it, it will actually tell you what all those codes mean. Like 3 flashes means, your inducer is bad, or 2 flashes means that you got a bad pilot light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But often what will happen is that, the first winter after being dormant for like a year or two, your furnace will just be like, okay, I'm working, and then die immediately.
It psychs you out. It psychs you out.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so many more questions, but I only have time for one more really, which is, I live in an apartment. The thing that tells me it's season change is me taking my AC out. And, I always think about like, I've got to clean my AC filters. And I'm always late taking it out, but it's out. That said, I feel like, is that one of the other main things is like checking your filters for your different air systems? Like,
God,
is that a good tip?
You don't even need me, Bianca.
Yes,
you don't need me anymore.
That's literally the only thing I do is take my...
Yeah, filters are so big. I think people always overlook filters because like, it's just this, little tiny thing. It costs me like $8. It can't be that big of a deal. You got to think about it like being like your lungs. Like your lungs help you breathe, right? They basically also help keep a lot of bad stuff out, right? Filters are very much the same way. If you clog up a filter bad enough, it cannot breathe properly, and the lack of airflow can really mess with your air conditioner. It can mess with your furnace. It can mess with anything basically that has a filter. Even your microwave has a filter, by the way. And you should make sure that you clean your microwave filter. For those who don't know, that's a big, big, big no-no. But those kind of things are super, super important. But from your furnace especially, 2 times a year, beginning of winter and maybe checking it like halfway through winter to make sure, and then the end of winter for sure, just to make sure that you're in a good spot. And with the air conditioner, once a year, you should absolutely make sure your air conditioner is checked.
I figure just clean it. Clean it if you take it out, clean it then. It's not a requirement for winter, but like you don't want to wait.
One of the things I wrote down before we were talking is that you should always clean your furnace and always clean your air conditioner at the beginning of every season.
Oh, wow.
So like the beginning of spring, before you use your air conditioner, you should clean it out and make sure it's ready to go. And then at the same thing for a furnace at the beginning of fall. You should do the same thing then.
Okay, I love it. Mercury, you are sensational and so skilled and talented. Thank you for sharing all of your gifts with us and imparting knowledge about winterizing our homes.
Well, thank you for having me again. It was a blast, and I hope that you have a good winter and that nothing goes wrong.
That's Mercury Stardust, the trans handyman and professional home maintenance technician. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with a homeowner who's got a lot of trees? Because, my friend, those gutters are probably full. Or the snowbird in your life. Alrighty, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care and thanks for listening.